2 minutes.
Wonderful. Welcome to everyone who's joining us on the live stream as well. Yeah, if you want to share where you are in the world, because we have a group with us here of already 200 of you wonderful women. Let me know in the chat, or even easier if you want to put it behind your name on the Zoom screen. Rename yourself and put it there. Otherwise, just pop it in the chat. Lots of people from the UK. Sweden, nice. Oh, welcome. Sweden, Finland, the Nordics, the Netherlands as well, and Germany. Herzlich willkommen auch an alle Deutschen hier. Yes, I'm German. Shh. Most of you know by now, probably. Wow. Oh, we've got Esther from Hungary. Oh, I have a few really lovely Hungarian friends here. They're quite an interesting language, isn't it? South Africa. Wow, Tanzania. Amazing. What from India? Welcome, welcome. What a diverse group. Each time I'm amazed. I'm on the other end of the world too, but yeah, wow. And this time, all women, because this is an event directed at women. How does that feel? You go to gallery view and you switch through here, through the windows, flip through.
We're on time, so I'm gonna press record and get this started officially. Let's record. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm very, very excited to be launching this event with Christina here on Courage to Lead. And this is for you if you're fearful about maybe stepping forward, offering your gifts to the world, whatever those gifts may be. And we're going to be discussing how and learning practical tools on how you can do so courageously despite the fear. So do share this event. We're just starting today. There's 3 days of it. Share it with any women in your life who want to stop hiding and be truly seen. I just want to remind you that replays will be available for 48 hours after the event finishes. Sorry, they'll be sent out for 48 hours. So it's still worth sharing. And if you come to one session live, then at least one session live per day, you'll have access to the recordings forever. You'll keep them so you can watch them again and again. This is a taster for an upcoming course, the Courage to Lead course with Christina and Patricia Aguirre. It's a 2-month online embodied journey. It's for female facilitators, professional women, so you can step into your power and really claim it. And you'll learn more about that here. And we'll also stick around at the end when we, Christina, to have a little bit of a Q&A session about it. Now, I'll be pasting those links in the chat. So today we're starting with Christina, who's a long embodied experience facilitator. She's a co-leader on the Certificate of Embodiment Coaching course. She's a dancer. She's an improviser. She has an MSc in Social Sciences. She's an Aikido black belt. So she's integrated mixed modalities from many worlds, and her work has taken her around the world, from London, Berlin, Switzerland to Southeast Asia and back. And she does guide groups and individuals through embodied inquiry exercises presented in a playful package. And she's had to go through some of this journey herself, I believe, but you'll be talking about that, Christina, more. So this first session is on the good enough kind of trap and how to escape that. With that, I'll shut up. If you have any questions, private message me in the chat. There is a lot of you, so be patient with me. And yeah, I'll give the mic over to Christina. Take it away.
Thank you, Virginia. I actually want to start with arriving for a moment. So whatever you're doing and wherever you are right now, if you could pause that just for one moment, close your eyes and notice how you are right now. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's an option too. Anything I offer here as a movement or anything else is a suggestion, and you're always free to not follow that. So asking yourself how you are right now, noticing the level of sensations, your body. And that could include any discomfort and tension. There could also be pleasurable, pleasant sensations in the body. And what about the emotional layer? What is present for you there right now? That had a flavor. Is it sweet, sour, salty? Where are you at? Do you maybe even have a word for it? And is it connected to any of the sensations you're feeling? What are the thoughts going through your head right now? Just have a quick look. What is going on there at the start of this session? Maybe something to do with what you just did, finished, wrapped up, where you came from, or maybe some anticipation or questions about this particular session you're entering. Not staying there too long, just a quick scan of where you're at, how you are right now. If you want to share a little bit in the chat, what came up, maybe just one word, what captures how you are in this moment, please do so. Bittersweet, I know that. It's been a frequent one recently, the bittersweet feeling. Having both kind of almost polar opposites of life be very, very present and in my face. Salty, I like how you're all picking up on the flavors. Yeah, sometimes it can be beautiful to have a bit more of an abstract or like maybe an image to work with rather than just like, how are you? And sticking to all the usual ways of how we're taught to frame that. So I like to work with metaphors and images a lot. And for some of you, that might not work at all. Fizzy, I like that one too, Austrian. Yes, it's like, it gives a certain sense to what that might be like beyond the words we've been taught to express how we are. Bubbling inside, chalky. Oh, lots of these metaphors coming in. Sun in my face, present, grateful and resentful. A lot of these, different qualities as well. I love that you're bringing that here, because sometimes we might not experience only one way of being or feeling. So already that will also be an essential part of what I want to share today. And today is really about finding courage in the body to get out of, the whole day is dedicated to the not good enough trap. And Patricia will go more into that tonight as well. But my curiosity lies very much with where do you encounter that sense of not good enough? Like, what are you maybe not good enough at or with? Can you share that with me? Almost there, all areas of life. Okay, at work, my job, appearance, relationships, saying no gracefully, boundaries, as a mom, family, wow, everything. Yeah, wow. Is there anyone that doesn't have that little voice in your head, that there's some area in your life that's like, could be better, it's not quite good enough yet? Does anyone have that? Give me a wave or shout yes in the chat, because then we might all want to learn from you. Yes, Rennie, woo, nice. Dora as well. Good, very good, very good. Yeah, for me, it's oftentimes encountering these like thoughts and especially expectations to myself of what I should be or how I should be. And that could apply to different areas in my life. And today, we're also gearing this whole 3-day event, but then also the upcoming course towards any one of you who wants to become a facilitator or a coach. So Virginia, did you actually have the poll? Just out of curiosity, if you wouldn't mind answering that. For those on the live stream, you cannot right now, but you could also share that in the chat. It's just a quick question on what brings you here, if you're a facilitator or want to become one, or just a quick overview.
And whilst people are taking time to answer, I just need to mention that the first 10 people who book on the upcoming course will be getting a special one-to-one session with you or Patricia. Isn't that right, Christina?
Yeah, we can mention that later on.
You can say it again at the end. Just teasing that that's coming up as well.
Okay, great. So a lot of you are facilitators already. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost a good split between wanting to be one, but don't know how. Maybe having taken the steps towards it already, or already being one. And sometimes even when you already are one, there might be areas that you want to grow into or expand into. So with regards to the facilitation then, because this is the main focus, what is holding you back still? What's the reason you come to this event, for instance? Is there any particular thing? It could also be connected to this, like, okay, I don't know enough yet, or I don't have enough experience, or I don't have enough confidence. If you were to start that sentence even with, what do you not have enough of yet to really be out there and share all you want to share? Confidence, confidence, confidence. Experience. Balls, which is confidence. Self-love, yes. Oh, fear of conflict. That's a very interesting one. Thank you for mentioning that. Fear of overwhelm. Yeah. Fear of judgment. I hear that. Not feeling good enough. Yeah. Not maybe, maybe as a person even, not just in that facilitation realm. So personally, for me, it's also an ongoing journey. And I think the strongest one I keep coming up against is my inner perfectionist. That little voice of, it has to be a certain way. Before I put something out there, it really has to meet my standard. And that's a pretty damn high standard. And it's tripped me up so many times. And if anyone can relate to that, and I've seen it a lot here, perfectionism. If you find yourself being a perfectionist as well, and like everything you do, anything you write, you want to create, whether that's a class, a workshop, a course, or anything, if you always have that, like it needs to be really, really perfect, can you for a moment feel into that? And even if you don't have that, imagine that, whatever you're putting out there has to be perfect. Really get into that for a moment, that sense of, before it's not perfect, I can put something out there. How would that look if you were to take that body, if you take that shape right now? How does it feel? What do you do in your body with the attitude of it needs to be perfect? And maybe turn up the volume of that and exaggerate that for a moment. Really go strongly into that. Contracted, tense, squashed. Yeah. For me, there's like this uprightness that comes into my body. Maybe somebody relates. There's this kind of martial way. I have a martial arts background, and that comes in very, very strongly. Then I put my hand here. I'm like, okay, it's got to be this direction, only one line. There's some linearity in my body, like a boxed, rigid shape to it. Everything feels square and also quite angular. Like everything, almost like I have a triangle in front of me. And it needs to be all these particular shapes. Yeah. No room for movement. Exactly. It's quite steady or rigid is the word that comes to me. Anxious, stuck. Yeah. So how would it be if you're struggling with that perfectionism, if you were to start in your body right now and allow yourself to take a deep breath for once and soften a little bit. And even one more big breath. And bring in a little bit more movement into all the areas that feel stuck and tense. Even to the point, like moving your jaw. Because for me, perfectionism is really in the jaw and the clenching. Like, and then almost wiggle and turn up the volume a little bit more with me, if you're willing. Shake it out and start really shaking your head a little bit and your neck, letting the neck really be loose. And start making some stretches with your face, almost like you're pulling some faces. Perfectionism for me comes a lot with having to come across a certain way as well. I have to be like this. There's like something even, especially in my face, that I feel like that mask, that kind of tightness, that thing that is the perfect way, the right way, the only way to be in that moment. Can we break that? Can we literally like take that off right now? For a moment. So this is a starting point for me. If I notice, oh my God, I'm going into perfectionist mode, and that creates the rigidity and the kind of like contraction in my whole body. And we're looking today at finding courage in the body. How can I loosen up my body? And then maybe as a following step, my mind can unlock a little bit as well. And maybe all the expectations can soften in the same way. I can soften my body. And my favorite focus for this is the face, and really going into like, stretching the tongue out, going like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to wear this mask of the ideal facilitator or the person like up front that, needs to be this particular way, because this in and of itself creates already such a, an image to live up to that I've created myself that might not even be me. And then suddenly I might be this like, okay, I'm the perfect teacher and I'm going to do this right now. And there's no relationality either anymore. It doesn't become, it's not fully authentic either anymore. That's what I notice in my own system. I don't know if any of you can resonate with that sense. It's that expectation I place on myself. Perfect means X, Y, Z. And you can fill that in for yourself. What does it mean to be the perfect facilitator? To offer the perfect workshop? What is that even? And who would you have to become? Maybe you even have an image in your head of somebody that you look up to, that you think, they are the perfect facilitator. I can guarantee you, even they have their own struggles underneath, and they aren't perfect. But what kind of, it's almost brutal that we do that to ourselves then. And that brings in another interesting layer of comparison. And we'll be addressing that throughout the days as well. Like, how many of you have that tendency as well to compare yourselves? Like, I'm not good enough yet, but that person, I'm not as good as that person, or, oh my God, look at her, or look at that website, or look at that course. If only I could do that. Anyone resonate with that? Yeah? Yeah, I strongly do. And there's a difference in that as well. So let's also look at that in the body, actually. So for a moment, almost as if we were role playing that, try out this sense of looking at everyone or everything else. And you can even go to gallery view now and randomly just look through all the different faces, and do that with the attitude of, I'm sure they know more than me. I'm sure they are better facilitated than me. Just for fun, engage with that for just a moment. And notice what that does. What do you do in your body while thinking that? Again, what happens? I'm sure their content, probably they know how to write content and copy perfectly, but me, no, not yet. Probably they have 10 years of experience, and I need that before I can put anything out there. Yeah, so what is the body of that? What does that create? Where do you go? You resign. Yeah, there's a shrinking. Stress. And how does the stress show up? Yeah, locking up, again, bringing that tension. A small kind of shape, getting smaller, shrinking in, folding, collapsing. Yes, wanting to disappear. Yeah, and also on some weird level, we're giving all our energy out there. We're just like, oh my God, look at everyone else. There's for me like a falling off center into other people, into everyone else I'm looking at, and forgetting about me, losing the sense of me. Yeah. So let's try to come back, find a place to really sit back in your own spot right now, literally, in your own place with yourself. And take one deep breath once again. And let it go with a sigh. And one twist we can bring to that is, yes, someone else might be doing amazing work, but not to make that an immediate reflection on yourself. I can look at other people's offerings, other people, how they facilitate, and let that inspire me. And there's almost like a direction that differs for me. There's like I allow myself to either fall into their stuff and I lose myself, I lose my own ground, I maybe fall off my chair if I would exaggerate it, or I shrink in, that shrinking in. But what would happen if you allowed yourself to solidly stay in your own spot, feel your own body, relax the tension, and allow yourself to sit with an upright spine. And if you can, because I don't want to force you into any kind of shape or body, and I want to go gradually. So really just working with these little steps as well. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I have to be now like this. I have to be the opposite of how I am. No, we're moving gradually and slowly with the breath into another possibility. But if it feels overwhelming, if it feels too far out of your comfort zone, you don't have to go all the way. But let's reverse that shrinking even more. So what would be the opposite of shrinking? Where in your body could you grow? Is it maybe a matter of bringing the shoulders a little bit back and allowing yourself to open the chest area a little bit, to free that, to create the space to meet the world, almost from that idea of meeting it with your heart? That can be quite vulnerable. Even just this tiniest, small adjustment. It's like, okay, can I allow myself from going here and wanting to hide into allowing that open? And then if that is difficult, really keep returning to your spine as support. It's our backbone. It's that back. And the connection to the ground equally. It's like a plant, you know, without the roots, there's no growing up. I often work with an image of seaweed and like something attached in the bottom of the ocean to bring in like fluidity as well. But equally there, it's like we have to remain rooted and connected to the ground, to our own spot, our own place. Where am I at in this very moment? Not only in a physical sense, also like, where am I at with my facilitation, with my offerings? And can I return to being okay with that? To sit in that present moment. And from there, allow yourself to, okay, just a tiny little bit of growing and opening. And if you feel totally comfortable there, can you allow yourself to get even bigger? Maybe by bringing the arms out to really make a bigger shape. Mine are to the side. It's playing with them. What if everyone in this room now was to look at your little window? And you're going to show up like that. How does that feel? Could you allow that? And what would you need to be okay there? Do you have to go back to remembering that you're sitting solidly on your chair, or you have your feet planted solidly on the ground? Is it remembering that you have that strong backbone that supports you, your whole structure? And make it an exploration. If you've attended any of our events, then you know that we work a lot with the being seen EYP pose, which is a full star-shaped sort of shape. But now we're just moving gradually into making ourselves bigger in the body. And notice for yourself where your comfort level is. How big can you be? And when you notice, that feels a bit much, come back a little bit, take a breath, and really gently edge your way forward. And the breath is super powerful in this. It's not about coming from this feeling of like, I'm here and I gotta be there, so I go there straight away, and then maybe brutalizing yourself once again because the perfectionist kicks in and is like, I gotta do it right, I gotta do it perfect, I gotta be here, and I should. But instead to really come from, where am I here? Okay, I feel my feet, I feel whatever is connected to the ground, to the surfaces I'm sitting on. And then I let my backbone be the support, and I really lift through that. And then I allow the front to open a little bit. And from here, I can slowly, slowly grow. And with the body, you can familiarize yourself with that shape, being big, being seen is what we call it. And if you manage to only go here, that's fine. If you don't even bring your hands up, that's fine. But keep feeling how that is to be there. And if you go like, oh my God, I need this, I need more of this, you can return to this any point in time. If you're like, oh, I got it right. I had that. I wrote a whole post. You can vary between them now while I keep talking and just explore for yourself. I was writing an Instagram post 2 days ago or something. And it's one thing I really still struggle with regards to being seen or putting myself out there and having all these judgments and having all the perfectionists come in and like try to sabotage me. And it was about stepping out and stepping into the spotlight and really allowing that visibility and allowing myself to be seen. But even in that, I noticed there might be different areas that are more difficult than others. For me, speaking to you right now is not as difficult as it is to write a social media post. Because for me, there is a relational quality. And I would make that, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I think as women, we've been conditioned to be very strong in our relational skills. So relating for me is something that comes natural. Relating is something where I feel comfortable. So I can take that angle of like, I'm speaking to wonderful other women here. It's not about me showing up or showing myself or showing off even, but it's about relating. So that makes it easier for me. You can check in with yourself if that's true, maybe for you as well. Teaching, for me, I take a perspective of I'm sharing. I'm not teaching from a place of I know better, because then for me that still edges onto the, do I actually know? Do I have enough experience? But if I come back from like, oh, I don't have enough experience, I don't have enough, and return to I do have some experience, and I do have some knowledge, and I do have definitely enough passion about several subjects in my life, and I have like a lot of passion for sharing them, and I can really access that point, it becomes easy. It becomes easy to share. So there's something about the mindset as well that I sometimes work with, but maybe for you to even just gain awareness of where do you shrink? Which particular areas do you struggle with? And to understand a bit more about why that could be is going to be part of the course as well. To encounter these things that we can't really directly see maybe. And it might not be a matter of like, you're not good enough at what you do. Pretty sure that's not the reason. But maybe other layers, the deeply conditioned sides that we still historically, socially, culturally have received, especially if we're women, identifying as women, been raised as a woman. So if you want to play with these, so countering that perfectionist tendency, and also maybe the kind of, the perfectionism, but also the comparison that comes in and what it does in your body. And I hope you're taking away the main point of check in how it is in your body. Whatever it is you're encountering, there might be other elements that hold you back. And then if you can allow your body to take the first step. If there's rigidity coming in, Can you allow that rigidity to dissolve a little bit? Is there a shrinking, a smallifying? And can you reverse that and allow yourself to, even just that tiniest little bit, open up again? It might shift something. So courage in the body is definitely not about forcing, pushing, but one most essential thing I keep coming back to for like the last 10 years already is whenever I felt really nervous, when I just started facilitating or just working with groups, was the ability to center and to remember, okay, my feet are on the ground. I'm not lifting off. I'm not going to get lost. My feet are on the ground. And then to start relaxing my belly and relaxing my jaw and that face, holding of the face. That's definitely saved me a couple of times from like, I got to teach, I got to speak, I got to do this, and to reverse that whole process. So there's so much more, and this is such a rich kind of subject area, and I think both Patricia and I are very passionate, and some other colleagues of mine as well, super passionate about. Virginia as well, nodding. She'll be guest teaching as well. Super passionate about, like, I have that belief that we need to support each other, and the more support we can give each other and return back to like a sense of sisterhood. I know this might sound like a hippie term, but there's a sense of like, as women, to support each other instead of going into competition, jealousy, envy, and all the other things that we've been also conditioned to operate within as women. It's like other women are just competition. It's like maybe some of you resonate with that narrative. I definitely had to relearn trust and seeing women as support. Then this is why we want to share this, and why maybe if you're feeling passionate about this as well and you want to step out into the light more and kind of make that step, because I believe that all of you have something really valuable to share, and I would love to help you get there. And I equally still also need that support from other women in my life, and I feel super grateful that I had and have it. And this is just creating a little bit of another container to dive into what might lie underneath. What are the blocks actually about? It's not about your skills. It's not about a lack of ability, but it's probably like a deeply ingrained, like voice in your head that you're not allowed to. There's so many layers, and I would like to really unlock them and rewrite them as well with you. So this was a little bit, I'm curious, we're going to go into a Q&A now. If you have any questions, it's easy to get lost in this subject, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I want to share. But yeah, one thing I would love to hear from you is, what is one thing you're taking away from this little session? Share that with me. Yeah, I see some of the comments in the chat now too. Overcoming the mother wound. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so intergenerational as well. I mean, how many of our mothers, grandmothers were encouraged to really step into the spotlight, to be big, visible, to do their own thing and not just be the support for a man. You know, it's like super historical and intergenerational. Yeah. So I'm curious what you're taking away. Relaxation and movement. To shake up the face, relax the face, that less is more. Yeah, feeling the change gradually. Yeah, taking it step by step. Solidarity and courage. Beautiful. Togetherness. I'm not alone in my perfectionism. Definitely you aren't. Trusting in the body. Beautiful. Wow, so many comments. I think I'll have to go back to the chat after this and read them slowly. Well, I'm glad that there was something useful, that a lot of you took away, something at least. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Playing more with the spine. Mm-hmm. There's also an element, I just want to throw that in as well, that's this perfectionism in this body. If we talk about the principles of masculine, feminine, it's actually a quite masculine way of being. It's like, got to put up with that, got to do it. No, I don't mean male, but masculine way of being. And to bring back the more feminine way of relating and doing things and working, bringing that into work is also a really, really powerful shift. Yeah, countercultural, counter-societal sort of orientation. Beautiful. Okay, so let's move into a Q&A. Virginia, is there anything we need to mention before the Q&A or?
Yeah, because a lot of people trickled in also after we started. I'd love you to mention the free one-on-one sessions that somebody will get and how to do that, or I can do that.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm pasting the links in the chat. This is a taster of a 2-month online course with Christina and Patricia, leading you in an immersion on various topics on this subject. And if you're one of the first 10 people to book that course and join us, you do get a free one-on-one session where you can address specifically your case with Christina or Patricia. So I just need you to be aware of that because it's only for the first 10 people and we're just starting the event. So make sure you get in there if you want a chance. And this session will be going for about 30 minutes of question and answer. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Also, I want to, we dove right in and just want to bring awareness to one thing that currently we're living in a very difficult situation globally. There's a lot going on. And maybe if you are okay with it, if not, you don't have to participate. Maybe we can just take a short moment to send love, good intentions out to Russia and Ukraine and the people there, the humans that are actually really struggling right now. So if you're up for that, just 1 minute. Thank you, everyone. I think especially we're so lucky to be here. Just to give it a moment of thought and intention. Intention is powerful. All right. If there are any questions, you're very welcome to write them in the chat. If you've already written them, I might have missed them in the chat. Oh yeah, I really feel my heart now. I'm like, oh.
Is the course only geared to facilitators?
You'll get a lot out of it regardless. If there's anything you would like to share, if there's anything, even if it's within your work life and you have to, hold presentations or step out, speak up, share, it will be useful and helpful. So it's addressing the things that keep holding us back. The focus is on coaching facilitation, like stepping in front of a group or doing one-on-one work, or simply putting your work out there, which if you're a facilitator or a coach can often mean you're self-employed, and all the blocks that we're like, oh, but I don't want to put that picture of me, I don't want to announce myself or advertise myself, and these sort of layers of like digging underneath a little bit. So there'll be elements of shadow work going into that, embodying different ways of being and looking at archetypes that might be helpful. And yeah, seeing especially how we can access that in the body. So what I just did, a lot of focus on how can we shift the way we are in the body, and thereby maybe support ourselves to move into that. For anyone who's doing KEK already, there will be similar elements coming up, but there will also be some different content, certainly, because Virginia, for instance, will be sharing about archetypes and more the mythological kind of approach. There's a whole different set of homework and work connected to this course that has a lot more to do with looking at historically and like culturally how we as women have been conditioned to not step out into the spotlight. And that doesn't necessarily find addressing much in KEK. KEK is another course that is running currently for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about. Shadow work. What is shadow work? In a nutshell, Carl Jung came up with that. It's parts of ourselves that we externalize or aren't aware of. So they're in the shadow, they're not visible, they're not in the spotlight, but they might they're disintegrated, they're not like owned. So in that sense, they can trap us up, they can hold us back, and bringing awareness to that can happen in various ways. But often how they show up is because we're projecting them on other people. It might be like, oh, I get super annoyed with this person about one particular thing. It's nothing to do with them, but probably more with a part of myself that I haven't integrated yet, something I reject in myself. Yeah. That's kind of a very vague, rough explanation. Which wow, so many questions coming. It was what was the first important step to show up, and how did you know it was the first step? Again, there are two components to that for me personally. It was changing my mindset into I'm in service. I have something valuable to share. I'm passionate about it. And to reverse the idea of it's about my own ego wanting to put myself out there and like maybe, post that on others. It was more, if I don't share this, how many people are going to miss out? Like maybe enjoying that, or maybe also learning that, or maybe also becoming passionate about that. So to really show up and step out and share what I'm passionate about sharing took that reframe for me, so that it would be more egoistic not to share just because of my little insecurities or something. It was more like, okay, it's not about me, it's about the stuff I'm passionate about and how others might receive that. And then in the body, like I said, it was the element of centering, reminding myself over and over and over, it's like my feet on the ground, relax the belly, relax the jaw, it's all good, I'm still here, I'm in my body. And then I can work with maybe the anxiety, the nervousness and all that. And looking at what in particular comes up for me as well that I struggle with. And that can be many things. More questions. Virginia, help me out. Are you seeing any questions that you feel?
I am, and I'm messaging some stuff in the chat that has to do with the practicalities of the course and letting you deal with the content.
Sinika, you're asking how you can get clients to be on board with doing movement and work through the body. You can only try to explain to them how powerful and valuable it is, and maybe give them a little example, like give them a taster, give them a felt experience without like imposing it is amazing. Just tell them, if you're up for just doing this tiny little thing with me, and decide for yourself if it's useful or not. And what we often do is working with congruence and dissonance in how we feel versus how we express in the body. And there's one example we can do together that is one of my favorite, is like, if you want to stand up with me, if you want to try this, if you want to stand up and reach your arms up towards the ceiling, really reach up and come onto your tiptoes, and also look up if you can. Look up towards the ceiling. If being on the tiptoes is too difficult, you don't have to do it, but look up. And now say, oh my God, things are so terrible right now. if you're really down. And then bring the arms back down. And then let's try the opposite. Hunch your back over, bring the shoulders in, maybe make yourself small, like the smallifying we did earlier. And really bring your chin to your chest and then say, yay, I'm super happy. Let's go and do this now. Yay. So how's this? If you really take the body of something and then like try to access the opposite in what normally we're wired, our whole nervous system, everything is wired, that certain ways of feeling or thinking are connected to also a certain way of being in our bodies. So if there is a dissonance or like a incongruence in that, we can notice normally. So that might be a tiny little way you could suggest that to a client potentially. Like try that out just for a moment, see what happens. And if you think that working with or through the body could be useful or powerful, then moving more into it. Yeah, it felt very inauthentic. Absolutely, because it isn't. But it also highlights the kind of power of like body and aligning, bringing it in alignment basically, and accessing possibilities through that. This was basically showing the reversed. Like if we are stuck in this body, of course we can't launch a course or offer a workshop, or because we're not in this like, yes, let's do it. So what would be the body that can do that in congruence? Yeah, in alignment with that. Yeah, felt very funny. Yeah. Oh, scrolling up again to other questions. The link to the course, I think Virginia just posted all the links. Marie, you're saying, what about if you're doing the exercise, but you're still stuck in the thoughts of like, oh no, I'm feeling so small, and da, 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 da. Normally it's that matter of shifting gradually and repeating that. So there's a thing about like we can take a certain, or we can be in our body in a certain way and help ourselves through that in a particular moment. Like even now, if you want to feel a little bit more uplifted, you could just do that, what we just did with reaching the arms up towards the ceiling, looking up. And if you stay there for a minute, you might start feeling differently. You might start thinking differently. But then sometimes it's also about the long term, and that requires practice and repetition. And that's why it's super important to keep doing that and pick certain practices that will allow you to become differently, because your embodiment changes and you're embodying it continuously, repeatedly, not just once and in that moment, but actually maybe every day. And maybe you start walking differently, and that'll encourage a different way of being in the world, because you're bringing a certain quality into your walking, and whatever we practice is what we become and how we will show up. Okay, Virginia's answering most of the practicalities. Rachel, thank you for asking that question about money or sharing. I do lots of work for free and always find it uncomfortable negotiating money. It makes me feel more self-conscious and perfectionist, wondering about that. Money mindset, or our relationship to money, is in and of itself a super interesting one. And especially being a woman, especially potentially working in fields, areas that have to do with healing or wellness, or like are even spiritual, or even like or supporting others. There can be so many layers of, but I'm helping others and I want to help others. So it's not spiritual, or I'm not a good person if I ask for money then, and like all these different layers. And it's beautiful if you have the ability to offer free work to people who cannot otherwise access your work and who really, really need it. So like now I think Mark was doing some stuff as well with, freely supporting in the best capacity how we can for Ukrainian facilitators to have more resources in themselves, and that's like totally free. You give it. That's your choice. You're giving something because your heart is in it and you want to. But then there's the other side that we don't dare to ask for something in return for our skills and for what we're sharing. Because again, of like all these funny thoughts, and there it's really about understanding the exchange and the relationship of that, understanding how other people will probably value whatever you're offering more if they have to also give something, and really make a choice. And also it needs to hurt a tiny bit, otherwise you don't value it. That's like one way of putting it. Like if you just want to be like, oh, most people will have the money basically, but there's kind of a reluctance. So how important is it actually for somebody who does have the money but is not really willing to give it to you? You wouldn't enter a shop either and would go like, oh, I'd just like to have this and that cake, but can I have it for free? Nobody would go there. So why would somebody walk up to you as maybe a yoga teacher, or I don't know what exactly you're doing, and expect that from you? So that's, if that makes sense. We could go more and more into depth about that, but it's a shift of that to appreciate the time you've trained and put into being able to offer what you're offering, basically. That was how many years? How many years did you study? How many years did you practice? And that to be valued comes with a monetary exchange usually, but definitely some exchange. More questions? We have another 5 to 10 minutes.
Pasting in the chat, but somewhere I caught a good one on procrastination, but because my focus is on the chat, I don't know if you addressed that already.
Okay, Irini, you're mentioning something interesting. Finding it hard currently to, and I'm going to rephrase the question to be a bit more general. Finding it hard to pitch your work in the current times. Finding it hard to offer or put your offers out there while there is a war, going on and people suffering and in distress, and like to suddenly refrain from maybe doing the work you're doing because you might have judgments about it. Is it appropriate? Is it okay for me to still do this? Is it really, if I compare, there's a whole level of comparison again. Yes, of course. Yes, of course, your work is probably, especially Irini here says she works with cancer patients. It's important. Are there people on the other end that benefit from the work you're doing? Have they benefited before? Will they still benefit currently? If so, then it's absolutely relevant and good to keep going with it, because they will, in this time, probably even more so benefit from it, because they might also experience more stress and more kind of worries, or if you're in a helping capacity or in a supporting capacity as a coach or facilitator, it becomes equally important. Any other urgent questions you want to ask? Yeah, some comments on the money mindset and limiting beliefs. This was probably a packed and rich session. I always want to put everything in because I want to give you all the value. That's another one. That's another one to look out for. It's like, I want to make sure that you get the most out of it, which Okay, Kat asks about the exercise we just did and having difficulty accessing the spine because it's in pain. You can anchor towards the ground. So the anchor is really ground. And if the spine isn't accessible to you, an imagination might work. One thing that could allow you to feel supported in that way, I now use the actual physical spine as our support. But you can also work with an image of a loved one or somebody that is supportive in your life, having their hands on your back. So even just imagining that, and you can do that with me, what would it be like if somebody you love that loves you had their hands on your back and stood behind you in a supportive way and had your back, quite literally? So that's another way to use image or imagination. But otherwise, it's the ground. The ground is always the anchor to feel your feet or your bum on the chair. Okay.
And a lot of people are asking for replays. I keep posting it, but you will get the replays for 48 hours after the event. And also, if you attend one session live per day, and there's more than one to attend in all time zones. So if you attend one session live, then you get the recordings to keep forever. And we'll be announcing how to do that on Tuesday. So you can come back to this. And, this is the first session. So please do share with women in your life. Invite them over. This is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely share this. And also I want to address Rodika's writing. If thinking someone else is already doing this and am I really bringing something new or valuable? Yes, because it's you. Yes, because it will be you facilitating. If yoga teachers would keep thinking, oh, but there are other yoga teachers already teaching yoga. Who am I to then teach yoga? Who would come to me? They're like, how many yoga teachers in the world? Probably also female yoga teachers, maybe female yoga teachers of your same age, maybe same sort of background. And still, it's like each one of us will bring a different flavor to what we're sharing and teaching. And there are so many people as well out there who are looking probably for the work or for the things you are offering. So this can get you really trapped, thinking that there's already, this offer already exists, this other person does it already. Yes, and nobody has reinvented the wheel either, in some form or shape. There is equally that sense of maybe coming with an attitude of collaboration, or like we're all supporting this field, whether it's like about embodiment, but it's also about women's empowerment. It's about, stepping out and really sharing what you want to share and supporting that. And I know so many of my friends do similar work as well. I know a lot of my personal friends, close friends, work with women to really help them get into their power, but they might have a slightly different angle. And they're different in their personalities and in their approach and in the focus they bring and all that. So don't let yourself be put off just because, somebody else is doing something similar already. And the example of the yoga teacher is probably the best one because, how many yoga teachers are probably teaching the exact same sequence? And still, you might have that particular sense of humor and people come back for that. You might have that ability to use metaphors or, that way of speaking that just makes them feel safe. So we all resonate with different people too. It's an important thing to remember. And if you know somebody who already does the work, maybe approach them, ask them if they want to collaborate. And then you could maybe create something even more beautiful together. Yeah. So that's probably, to mention, for instance, my colleague Erica, she does amazing work on helping women step out there and empower them. And it's, it's a bit more general. And this one now, takes a slightly different angle and looks more at what if you want to become a coach and facilitator, and like diving into different areas and including different sort of angles and elements of archetype work or shadow work. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Sibylla's sharing. Comparison only addresses what is measurable in figures, whereas what each of us brings is so much more than just data. Absolutely. Very beautifully phrased. Yeah. I don't think I need another. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Try to remind myself that also, wow, it's moving away. That also in the friends I have, I don't think I need another friend just because I already have one friend. Yeah. So like we can have many friends. We all need many teachers and people to learn from and to share with. I learn from Virginia, and maybe she learns from me. It's like there's always going to be exchanging. Okay. Thank you so much for coming to this. again, I hope you're taking something valuable away into your day. I think we've given you all the practicalities to mention. Come back tonight for Patricia's session. She'll be looking at the not good enough kind of trap as well. And again, she's not, she's going to approach it from a different angle. She has a different personality, a different way of speaking. So you'll probably gain a lot of different insights once again from her.
A lot of people ask me to screen share a little bit so they get an idea, because the links kept disappearing, although I'm trying to keep them in the chat. So this is the course. This is the 2-month online. You still have 25 days, 13 hours, and a few seconds to get on it. It's happening at the end of this month, beginning of April. And you can see some information. I'll be pasting those links again, but this is who it's for. Yeah.
This is the next 3 days coming up, right? Can you scroll down a little?
This is the course. This is not the next 3 days. I can share the next 3 days as well, but this is just about the course that's coming up, the 2-month immersion.
This is what I'm seeing right now as a schedule for the 3 days. I'm not sure if others see that.
Sorry. I'm thinking I'm sharing, but I'm sharing the wrong thing. There you go. Okay, so this is the event. You're right. I'm sorry. So this is what's coming up. Patricia tonight, then boundaries, good woman, align your heart and brain axis, inner badass, limitations, power, overcoming fear. So a lot of good stuff packed in. And maybe I can share the course instead, as I promised. Here we go. That's the course.
Right. Yeah, I encourage you to just have a look. We posted the link in the chat, I think, and then you get an overview of the dates and times and what's included and what's required in terms of homework and what the topics are. And if you have questions, then you can ask them to Patricia tonight or tomorrow and over the next 3 days. So if you find the time, just browse that site and that will give you a good impression if you're interested. Okay. I'm going to let all of you go into your days. Thank you so much for showing up, showing interest, being here. And I hope to see you throughout the next few days as well. Thank you. Shall we unmute everyone so we can have our usual ending?
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.